ships sailing under clear blue skies, and never returning, aircraft vanishing from radar without sending a single distress call. For decades, these mysterious disappearances have fueled one of the most famous legends of the modern world, the Bermuda Triangle, a patch of ocean with a reputation so chilling it's been nicknamed the Devil's Triangle. This infamous region lies in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, roughly forming a triangle between Miami, Florida, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the island of Bermuda. Covering an area about the size of Texas, it's one of the busiest shipping and flight corridors in the world. Every year, thousands of vessels and planes pass through its waters without incident. And yet stories of those that never made it out alive have captured imaginations worldwide. Some claim the Bermuda Triangle is a gateway to another dimension, a place where the rules of time and space twist into impossible shapes. Others believe it's the site of an alien base hidden deep beneath the waves. Still others insist the ocean here is cursed, haunted by the lost empire of Atlantis. The truth is, the legend didn't appear overnight. It began with a handful of strange cases, the most famous being Flight 19-5 U.S. Navy bombers that vanished during a training mission in 1945. Despite extensive search efforts, neither the planes nor their 14 crewmen were ever found. Even more bizarre, a rescue plane sent after them also disappeared along with its 13 crew members. From that point on, newspapers, magazines, and later TV documentaries turned the Bermuda Triangle into a global mystery. Tales of compass needles spinning wildly, sudden storms appearing out of nowhere, and colossal waterspouts swallowing ships whole became part of the mythos. But here's the big question. Are these disappearances the work of something supernatural, or simply the result of dangerous weather, human error, and an unforgiving ocean? To find out, we need to look at both sides. The wild otherworldly theories that make for thrilling headlines, and the grounded scientific explanations that often get buried beneath them. In this video, we'll explore the Triangle's most famous incidents, from missing warships to ghostly derelict vessels. We'll break down supernatural claims from time warps to alien abductions. We'll dive into scientific theories involving magnetic anomalies, methane gas eruptions, and freak waves. And we'll separate what's truly mysterious from what's just sensational storytelling. Because while the Bermuda Triangle may not hide a portal to another universe, it does hold real dangers and a fascinating history of how legends grow. So buckle up, or in this case, batten down the hatches. We're sailing straight into one of the most enduring mysteries on Earth. To understand why the Bermuda Triangle became a household name, we have to revisit the incidents that built its legend. One of the earliest and most infamous cases was USS Cyclops, a massive U.S. Navy cargo ship. In March 1918, Cyclops set sail from Barbados with over 300 crew and passengers and vanished without a trace. No SOS signal, no wreckage, no survivors. The loss remains the single largest non-combat disaster in U.S. Navy history. Then there's Flight 19 in 1945, perhaps the case that cemented the Triangle's dark reputation. 5 TBM Avenger bombers were on a routine training mission from Florida when their leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, reported his compass was malfunctioning. Radio transmissions grew confused. The pilots seemed disoriented, unsure of their location. Hours later, their fuel would have run out. None of the planes returned. A rescue aircraft sent to find them also disappeared with 13 more men aboard. 6 planes, 27 men gone. Over the years, more stories piled on. The Carroll A. Deering 1921, a 5-masted schooner found aground off the coast of North Carolina, completely abandoned. The Star Tiger and Star Ariel, 2 British South American Airways passenger planes that vanished in 1948 and 1949. The Witchcraft 1967, a cabin cruiser that called the Coast Guard for help just a mile off Miami, only for rescuers to find nothing when they arrived minutes later. What makes these cases so unsettling is the lack of clear evidence. In many shipwrecks, debris, oil slicks, or bodies are recovered. In Bermuda Triangle disappearances, it's often nothing, just absence. Eyewitness accounts have added more fuel to the fire. Pilots have reported inexplicable fog banks that seem to swallow their planes. Sailors tell of massive rogue waves rising like walls in the open ocean. Some even describe seeing the sea churn violently under a clear sky, as if something massive was rising from the depths. Perhaps most intriguing are the compass anomalies. In certain spots within the triangle, navigators have reported their compasses pointing directly to true north instead of magnetic north. This can throw off bearings by several degrees, enough to send an inexperienced crew fatally off course. These mysterious elements have helped the triangle earn its supernatural reputation. They're cinematic, they're terrifying, and they stick in the imagination. But here's the thing, every one of these mysteries has at least a possible explanation. The ocean is vast and unforgiving. Storms can form rapidly, especially in this part of the Atlantic, the Gulf Stream. A powerful ocean current runs right through the triangle, capable of quickly sweeping away wreckage. Navigational errors can be deadly when you're hundreds of miles from land. Still, the absence of definitive answers leaves a gap. And where there's a gap, the human mind loves to fill it with aliens, lost civilizations, or portals to another dimension. In the next section, we'll step fully into that world, the supernatural theories that have made the Bermuda Triangle the most famous stretch of water on Earth. Step into the Bermuda Triangle's legend, and you'll quickly find yourself in a gallery of wild, fascinating, and often outlandish theories. 1. A gateway to another dimension. Some believe the triangle hides a wormhole, a shortcut through space and time. According to these theories, ships and planes don't sink. They slip into another world entirely. Supporters point to stories of time distortion, where pilots report flying for hours, but arriving minutes later, or seeing skies and seas change color in an instant. Of course, no physical evidence exists, but the idea of a hidden portal is irresistible. 2. The Atlantis connection. Popularized in the 1970s, this theory claims the lost city of Atlantis lies beneath the triangle, its advanced crystal energy still active and interfering with modern navigation. Proponents point to undersea formations near Bimini, known as the Bimini Road, as proof of ancient construction. Archaeologists say it's a natural rock formation, but believers are undeterred. 3. UFO activity. If aliens are visiting Earth, the Bermuda Triangle would be a perfect hunting ground, vast, remote, and teeming with human traffic. Some UFO enthusiasts argue that the triangle is home to an underwater alien base, explaining sudden disappearances and strange lights seen in the sky or below the waves. These accounts often blend with broader conspiracy theories about government cover-ups. 4. Cursed waters. Others turn to more mystical explanations, ancient curses, vengeful spirits, or the restless souls of those lost at sea. This idea often ties into legends from the indigenous peoples of the Caribbean, whose stories warned of dangerous waters long before the term Bermuda Triangle existed. 5. Energy vortexes. Some paranormal researchers claim the triangle contains vortex point spots where Earth's natural energy fields are unusually strong. In theory, these could bend light scramble instruments, or even pull objects into another plane of existence. Skeptics point out that no scientific measurements have confirmed such vortexes, but the concept remains popular in fringe literature. What makes these theories so enduring? They offer a sense of mystery and adventure in a world that feels increasingly mapped and explained. They feed into our love for the unknown, the idea that there are still corners of Earth where reality might break its own rules. But there's another reason storytelling sells. Books like Charles Berlitz's The Bermuda Triangle and countless TV specials from the 1970s onward have romanticized the triangle, blending fact and fiction into something more compelling than either alone. The more supernatural the theory, the more it grabs attention, and the harder it is for dry, rational explanations to compete. Of course, believing in these theories is one thing. Proving them is another. And when scientists and investigators dig deeper, the explanations they find often have more to do with wind waves and human error than alien abductions or Atlantean crystals. Still, the supernatural stories are part of why the Bermuda Triangle endures as a cultural phenomenon. Even if you don't believe them, they make the place feel larger than life. In the next section, we'll pull the curtain back on the science exploring the natural forces that might explain the triangle's mysteries without bending the laws of physics. When you strip away the legend and look at the Bermuda Triangle through the lens of science, a very different picture emerges, one that's less about curses and aliens and more about powerful natural forces. 1. Sudden violent weather. The triangle sits in a zone where warm, moist air from the tropics collides with cooler systems from the north. This mix can produce intense storms in a matter of minutes. Hurricanes and tropical storms routinely pass through, bringing winds strong enough to tear ships apart and lightning strikes that can disable aircraft. Even smaller squalls can cause catastrophic problems for small vessels. 2. The Gulf Stream. This warm, swift Atlantic current flows directly through the Bermuda Triangle, moving at speeds up to 5.6 miles per hour, 9-kilometer gauge. If a ship sinks, the Gulf Stream can scatter debris across vast distances or carry it far below the surface, making wreckage nearly impossible to find. This could explain why so many disappearances seem to leave no trace. 3. Rogue waves. In recent years, scientists have documented massive rogue waves walls of water up to 100 feet 30 meters high, capable of swallowing even large ships. The triangle's location, where storms from multiple directions can meet, makes it a hotspot for such waves. 4. Magnetic anomalies. The Bermuda Triangle is one of the few places on Earth where true north and magnetic north line up closely, potentially confusing compass readings. For experienced navigators, the difference is minor. For inexperienced crews, it could lead to fatal course errors, especially before the GPS era. 5. Methane hydrate eruptions. Beneath parts of the seafloor lie massive deposits of methane gas frozen into crystalline form. If these hydrates suddenly release, they can reduce water density, causing ships to lose buoyancy and sink rapidly. Rising methane can also stall airplane engines if encountered at low altitudes. While there's no conclusive evidence this has happened in the triangle, it remains a plausible contributor. 6. Human error. Perhaps the most overlooked explanation is also the simplest. The triangle covers one of the busiest shipping and air routes in the world. Statistically, more traffic means more accidents. Navigational mistakes, poor maintenance, overconfidence, and fatigue have all been documented factors in triangle incidents. 7. The numbers don't add up. In 2013, the Worldwide Fund for Nature released a study on dangerous waters. The Bermuda Triangle didn't even make the top 10. Insurance companies, which calculate risk very precisely, don't charge higher rates for ships passing through. When researchers compared accident rates inside the triangle to similar stretches of ocean, they found no significant difference. In other words, the Bermuda Triangle might not be unusually dangerous at all. What sets it apart isn't the number of incidents, but the mystique surrounding them. And that mystique has a life of its own. Once a place gains a reputation for danger, every strange event, no matter how explainable, gets folded into the legend. A plane goes down in bad weather, it's the triangle. A boat sinks during hurricane season, triangle strikes again. The truth may be that the Bermuda Triangle is simply an ordinary part of the ocean made extraordinary by decades of sensational storytelling. But that doesn't make it boring. Understanding the real science behind the legend can be just as fascinating as the myths, and in some ways more satisfying. After all, the ocean is mysterious enough without needing to bend the laws of physics. Next, in our final section, we'll wrap it all up: what the Bermuda Triangle really is, why the legend persists, and the lessons it teaches us about fear, curiosity, and the stories we choose to believe. The Bermuda Triangle is a place where fact and fiction have been tangled together for decades. It's a stretch of ocean filled with real dangers, unpredictable weather, powerful currents, and navigational challenges. But it's also filled with stories, many of them exaggerated or misunderstood, that have given it an almost mythical status. The truth. When you look at the numbers, the Bermuda Triangle isn't more dangerous than other heavily traveled parts of the ocean. The difference is that it has been given a brand, a name that sparks curiosity, fear, and imagination. Every disappearance, no matter how explainable, becomes part of a larger, spookier narrative. And that narrative is sticky. It lingers in our culture because it satisfies something deep in us, the love of mystery. Why the legend persists. Human psychology. We're drawn to stories with danger and the unknown. A ship lost to a storm is tragic. A ship lost to a mysterious triangle is unforgettable. Media amplification, books, TV specials, and internet content keep the legend alive, often favoring drama over detail. The need for wonder. In a world mapped by satellites and explained by science, we still crave places where the rules might not apply. The Bermuda Triangle reminds us that the ocean is still a wild, untamed place, one that demands respect. You don't need aliens or ancient curses to make it fascinating. The reality is just as awe-inspiring: storms that can rise out of nowhere, waves as tall as buildings, and currents that can carry debris across continents. These forces are reminders of nature's power and our smallness in comparison. We don't have to choose between wonder and truth. The real world is full of mysteries worth exploring. If anything, separating fact from fiction makes the remaining questions even more intriguing. The Bermuda Triangle might not be supernatural, but it's still a perfect example of how stories can shape our perception of reality and how legends are born not from magic, but from the way we tell the tale. Stay curious, but stay critical. Legends like the Bermuda Triangle show us the importance of asking, why not just accepting the most exciting explanation because it sounds good? Truth and mystery aren't enemies. They're partners in the endless adventure of learning. And sometimes the truth is every bit as thrilling as the myth. What do you think about the Bermuda Triangle? Is it just a clever mix of natural hazards and media hype? Or could there still be something truly unexplained lurking in those waters? Drop your theories in the comments, from the most scientific to the most outlandish. Let's see whose explanation convinces the most people. And if you've ever sailed or flown through the triangle, share your experience. Your story might just become part of the legend.